Okay, guys, give it a couple of minutes. Make sure that that it's all working okay. If you've got any problems hearing me as usual, let me know. Okay. Okay, I can see myself. I don't want to listen to myself in case it causes feedback, but let me know if you've got any problems hearing me. If you can hear me, you can tell that I sound sick as a dog, and that's how I feel as well. So let's hopefully try and keep today's session a little bit shorter than normal. But if you see me run off every 5 minutes, it'll be because I need to blow my nose, okay? My voice is going and my nose is running like a tap. I know this sounds really gross in a cooking in a cooking broadcast, so I'm really sorry about that. But thank you everyone for joining me. Again, if you don't know me, my name is Jackie M, and I am a former restaurateur, Malaysian born, Sydney, Australia based, and I do these live Asian cooking broadcasts. Well, I do 4 broadcasts a week on Twitch, 3 of which are cooking, like this one that you're going to see today, and 1 Saturday night, that's tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Sydney time. We have campfire stories. Night, how you doing? Audio sounds good, thanks, Cyan. Okay, fabulous. So today I'm going to be doing this dish that I very rarely do in my live broadcast, and it's not because well, first of all, it's one of my signature dishes. It's called Char Kway Teow, alright? I very rarely do it, not because I'm trying to kind of like protect the intellectual property, but because I cook it so often on such a mass scale that I'm really sick and tired of doing it. But today I'm going to do it partly because I've got some of the ingredients, and partly because this shouldn't take too long, alright, depending on how long I ramble for. And by the way, guys, we've hit some pretty good milestones in the last couple of weeks, so we've exceeded 1,000 followers. Hopefully we'll be able to build strength to strength from here on in. And I've got some giveaways that I'm going to announce, alright? I announced some giveaways on my last broadcast. We haven't actually drawn the winners yet, but I've got Rode microphones that have come on board, and I've got Lenovo Australia that's come on board. Speaking of which, shout out to Lenovo Australia for the laptop I use for my live streaming, and I use an IdeaPad Y700, which is a gaming laptop. And as for the microphone, I use a Rode podcasting microphone. I'll show you what it looks like. If you can see it, okay, here you go. Like I said, I'm gonna have to run off and blow my nose every 5 seconds, so give me a second, I'll be back. Okay, sorry about that, guys. And also, I've got Noah, because it's the school holidays. Noah, my Down syndrome 5-year-old, I call him baby because he's like a baby, but he's in the next room watching his show. And yeah, so if he gets bored, he'll jump out and he'll be a little bit disruptive, just so you're forewarned, alright? So we're making Char Kway Teow today, and I'm going to have to refer to my own cookbook. This is it here. Jackie M, is called Truly Malaysian Street Food at Home. It was published a couple of years ago, and the reason I'm referring to this is because the portions are the size that I'm going to be making. I make this every week, like on a large commercial scale, alright, but just to kind of like reduce it all to manageable portions, I have to page 35 is my Char Kway Teow sauce. So first of all, we're gonna make the sauce, and then we're going to have a go at frying up the noodles, alright? So let's do it. Char Kway Teow sauce. Now, when I put out this cookbook a couple of years ago, there was a fair bit of excitement among my followers who've actually tasted my food, alright? When I had my restaurant here in Sydney, Australia, like I said, this was my signature dish, and a lot of people wanted to know what the secret ingredients are. When they found out it was in this cookbook, they went out and bought it, right? They ordered it online. And then I got some feedback where they say, oh, it still doesn't taste like your Char Kway Teow, you know? And I think the reason for it is partly because of the sauce, the ingredients that go into it. I don't hold anything back with anything that I cook, like any recipes I post online. I don't have like any secret ingredients that I try and withhold, right? I'm not that type of person. But having said that, right, I think what affects the final outcome of any dish, when I share the recipe, I mean, there's an element of the technique that goes into it, but also, and I've mentioned this, you know, forever now, but when we talk about Asian ingredients, right, when you're talking about bottled sauces and all that, different brands of the same ingredients will have their own take, their own nuance, all right? So when I say in my Char Kway Teow sauce, you need 200 mils of soya sauce, depending on the brand of soya sauce you use, it will affect the final taste of it, okay? Likewise with all the other sauces that go into it as well. You know, so I'll talk a little bit more about Char Kway Teow and what it is, but let me just grab some of the sauces I need. So I need soya sauce, I need sugar, I need chicken powder, fish sauce, and the cooking caramel, all right? I'm gonna blow my nose while I'm gone as well. Okay, so these are the sauces we need, and ironically, having talked about the different brands of soya sauce, right, the brand that I use for my business is actually not this one here. Let me just, I don't know if I've got the bottle. Oh yeah, I do. Hang on a sec. No sound? I just got told my audio is fine. Is anyone else having trouble hearing me, or? I was told 5 minutes ago that my audio is fine. I can hear you, Edge of Night. Okay. Go away, Knox. It's just you. All right. Okay, cool. Right here. Now, when I talk about brands, right, there's actually the way my recipes, my dishes have evolved, right, are based around what were accessible to me. All right. When I wanted to buy, like, for instance, soya sauce, the brand that was by default supplied by the grocery store that I used to buy things, I still do in fact, order stuff in bulk from, the default brand is this one here. Okay, it's called Lee Kum Kee. The label is a little bit hard to read. Cookie, this one, mommy, hey, how you doing? Okay, so Lee Kum Kee is called Superior Light Soya Sauce. This was the brand I used for my business, which I still use for my business, and you see it's in a big bottle, all right? I don't use it for home cooking over here because there's no other compelling reason for me to buy Lee Kum Kee Light Superior Soya Sauce. It's just that when I buy them in commercial quantities, this is the default brand that the supplier provides, and apparently all the Chinese restaurants, all the Asian restaurants get the same brand, all right? It may just be because Lee Kum Kee had the foresight to actually produce a range in large bottles that would be suitable to restaurants, okay? So I'm not representing them, and I'm not like particularly endorsing that particular product, right? But for this particular exercise, for the truly Malaysian street food at home cookbook recipe, in case you have a copy at home or plan to get a copy, or you've always wondered like what brand's soya sauce I use because it doesn't specify in my cookbook, right? This is the brand, all right? Lee Kum Kee Superior Light Soya Sauce. As for the fish sauce, I don't, And by the way, if you're just joining me, like I said, I'm like I feel like I should be in bed because I'm like a zombie at the moment. I'm all dosed up with Nurofen and all that sort of stuff because I've got a bad cold. But obviously you can't see the brand. I've just rebottled this. As far as the fish sauce that goes into my Char Kway Teow, I use a brand called the Squid brand. Let's see if I've got. Okay, I might do. Hang on. Okay, so in my cookbook where it mentions fish sauce, this is the brand I get, okay? 5-liter bottle, again, there's no particular compelling reason why you have to, you know, use Squid brand for all your Asian cooking, right? It's just because when I ordered them for my restaurant and I needed like big, large bottles of them, Squid brand was the default one they would give me. All right, so this is how my recipes actually evolved. They're based around the flavors generated from these brands of sauces. As far as the thick caramel sauce, whoops, like I said, this used to be called in recipes back in Malaysia, we used to call this thick soy sauce, all right? In Chinese, we actually call in Hakka, we actually call it usiu, which means black soy sauce, okay? So black soy sauce can sometimes mean this, is what I'm saying. But nowadays, if you see like dark soy sauce and whatever, it probably doesn't mean this. But as a kid growing up in Malaysia, I've just realized I spilled some of this soy sauce. Hang on a sec. As a kid growing up in Malaysia, when my mom say, "Oh, I need some usiu," usiu means this here, okay, black soy sauce, which was then called thick soy sauce in my recipes, which then I realized the brand started rebranding it to thick caramel sauce, and now it's called cooking caramel, just cooking caramel. Okay, so in my cookbook where it says thick caramel sauce, I actually mean this particular brand. Look for this bottle, okay, something similar. It's got an elephant at the front. The brand is Cheongchan, Cheongchan, right? So this is the thick soy sauce I use. And in my cookbook, finally, it says chicken stock cubes. I don't use chicken stock cubes. That is basically an edit by my American editor who felt that nobody would know what chicken powder means, all right? Chicken stock powder. And so where it says 1 cube of chicken stock cubes, right, or 4 chicken stock cubes, I actually mean 4 tablespoons of chicken powder, and specifically the Knorr brand as well, Knorr, right? Like I said, I'm not endorsing any of these. I'm not getting paid. I wish I were. But just for the sake of being on the same page, these are the brands of sauces that I use for my CKT sauce. Just let me top this up quickly. You sound really stuffy. I know, right? And my voice is on its way out. I'm using the same brand thick soy sauce. My mom uses that too. You know, in all honesty, that's probably the only... They pretty much have the market cornered as far as thick soy sauce is concerned. I'm not sure if I've ever come across a different brand, you know. But for those who are wondering, people tend to confuse this with kicap manis. I get asked a lot, is this the same as kicap manis? No, it's not. All right. Kicap manis is not as black, not as thick, and not as and it's sweeter as well. Okay, kicap manis literally means sweet soy sauce. I guess you could use kicap manis, in which case cut down on the sugar that goes into this, but keep in mind also that the sauce will not look as intensely dark, right? Again, you're kind of like I go on all these different rabbit tails when I talk about Char Kway Teow, because I've been selling this for literally for decades now, and every argument that can be you know, passed from this whole topic of Char Kway Teow, you know, I've got it covered pretty much. I hope you feel better soon. Thanks. Same here. I just got confirmation that next Wednesday, which is obviously only about 5 days away, I'm supposed to shoot in Cabramatta. I'm supposed to spend like about 8-10 hours shooting in Cabramatta for this client, shooting like promo videos. It'd be funny if my voice was gone and I was sniffling like this by that stage. Let me just clean this up while I'm talking. So guys, don't forget to stick around to find out what swag I've got from Lenovo as giveaways, right? And we're going with Decided. I talked it over, well, kind of like briefly mentioned this on Discord with my Sammy, hey, how you doing? Swag, I know, right? I actually just got back shortly before from the city, actually, just to pick up some swag from Lenovo. So hang around, guys. Don't forget to remind me to. I have a tendency to tell people, hang around till the end and I'll announce this, and I totally forget and say, see you later. Okay, so Char Kway Teow, for those who don't know, Char Kway Teow literally means fried rice noodles. Okay, cha means to fry. Okay, so sometimes you see chow mein. Cha and chow is the same thing. They're just different Chinese dialects or different, like, you know, permutations of the same word, right? Cha just means fried. Okay, Kway Teow is like a Hokkien dialect, which is one of the Chinese dialects word for rice noodles, and I'll show you what it looks like. So for all intents and purposes, it just means fried rice noodles in Malaysia, right? And what is swag? This means it's goodies. Goodies. Not quite a laptop swag, but but still Lenovo branded goodies. All right. I didn't wanna angle for a laptop. I could have actually. When I reached out to them, they actually thought that I wanted a laptop to give away, but I'm gonna hold off on laptop until I reach 5 figures in followers. 1,000 followers isn't quite enough justification for me to angle for a laptop yet as a giveaway. Plus, with a laptop, you know, I would have one laptop and like too many people. But for this swag, because it's small, I can offer multiples of it. All right, so that more people can have a chance of actually winning it. I want to win a laptop. Okay, so Char Kway Teow, fried rice noodles. This has been has it been refrigerated? Again, let me step away. Sorry, my nose. This is going to be the broadcast where my nose progressively gets redder and redder over the course of it, so I'm sorry about that. So, rice noodles, let me put it on in something. This is the version I currently get. Again, I used to tell you guys, look, the brand we use for our Char Kway Teow, when I used to order it from the supplier, the brand was Hoa Ki, all right? Again, this is a very Sydney thing. Even in Melbourne, like, Cookie will tell you they get a different brand in Melbourne simply because these are very localized producers, all right? But the brand we used to get in Sydney is a brand called Hoa Ki, okay? In Chinese, it's pronounced Hoaky, H-O-A-K-Y, right? For whatever reason, they've slowly replaced it with just random brands, and it hasn't affected the product to the extent where I've had to call them out and say, look, I want the Hoa Ki specifically, okay? So they generally are pretty okay, but Hoa Ki, the reason why restaurants, Malaysian restaurants got that was because their noodles tended to be more sturdy. But this is what we mean by rice noodles, okay? If you can see it, right? And you can use it in soup, you can use it stir-fried, you can use it in lots of different ways. But you've seen me show you guys how to make what we call chi chong fan, right? With steamed rice noodle rolls. This is essentially the same thing, all right? They're just different ratios of rice flour to water to tapioca flour and all that sort of stuff to produce essentially like just different variations of the same kind of stuff, okay? This particular brand, United, is a little bit finer than Hoa Ki, okay? Which is fine, okay? But there is a tendency, the more delicate they are, the more care you have to handle them with when you're frying up, all right? So some of them might be too soft that they might get a little bit gluggy when you're frying them up. Some of them might be might break up essentially. And the other thing is that, and I've mentioned this before as well, if you buy this from an Asian grocery store in Australia, most likely it will not be refrigerated. All right. Having said that, depending on which Asian grocery, if you go to an Asian grocery store in a very, I guess, predominantly white shopping center or something like that, they will keep it refrigerated. Okay. They may have shopping malls and all that might have their own regulations as to how food is stored. But if you go to one of those, Chinese dominated suburbs, and you go to the grocery store, this will not be refrigerated. This will be sitting on the shelf, all right? Because we want them soft and pliable. Once they're refrigerated, they start getting a little bit hard and they start breaking up when you fry them up, all right? And also, as they deteriorate as well, you'll find that sometimes when you fry them up, they turn gluggy and sticky, and you know that it's near the end of its lifespan. And visually is the best way you can tell when they're off, because you start getting mold specks on them. All right. BJ, thank you. Thanks for following. Blow my nose time again. Sorry. Okay, so again, these are the noodles we use. These are wide cut noodles, if you can see what I mean. All right. Now I'll talk a little bit about how they're cut as well. When I talk about Char Kway Teow, I come from the southern part of the peninsula of Malaysia. All right. Malaysia consists of 2 land masses. Funny, my Aussie friend remembers CKT by name. It has to have a char flavor for it to be good. Yeah, that's right. There's, like I said, I can go on so many different rabbit tails, but let's get started on making the sauce, right? And this is how I make the sauce. 200 mils of soy sauce. Again, I usually use the lee kam ki, but I don't have it upstairs here. I've got them all stored in my storage downstairs, so I'm not going to dig them out. Let's just use this. So 200 mils. I'm not going to measure anything and sell this for personal consumption, but I'll post a recipe online. I know I'm a couple of weeks late with my recipe postings, so I'm sorry about that. Okay, I might make just half the quantity. Like I said, I've sold this dish for decades. That it's not it's not on my mind to actually ever cook it for myself to eat. Because I'm so sick of it. Chicken powder. Fish sauce. Okay, let's put a little bit more soy sauce in here. Okay, I've got a feeling, because this is the Yo's brand, there's going to be a lighter soy sauce than the lee kam ki. The lee kam ki, even though it says it's light soy sauce, is actually a little bit more intense, okay? I'm just going to wipe down some of these a little bit. Okay, and thick soy sauce. Okay, I want just about a teaspoon of this. About 2 teaspoons. You see, like, it's going to take a while for it to work its way down the bottle. That's how thick it is, okay? But it's very intense in color, so it'll take a little bit, will go a long way. Okay. And I want sugar. Okay, my CKT, by my own admission, is a little bit sweeter than your average CKT you'll find in Malaysia, okay? And usually I put a bit of water in it. For whatever reason, we left it out in my recipe, but it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of, like, the water is really to help things dissolve a bit better. So usually we would cook this in a 20-liter pot, right, every week. But like I said, the water is really just to help things dissolve a bit better. So put these away. And the other thing I'm going to mention as well, the sugar content in this is going to make this froth up, alright? So use a deep saucepan when you're cooking this. Just keep a very, very close eye to it, on it, and just stir it as you go. I'm just going to add a little bit of water. Like I said, it just helps the sugar dissolve a little bit better. Game of Thrones soon, Jackie. You know, I've never seen one single episode of Game of Thrones. Hodor scene makes me shed a tear every time. I can't bring myself to watch that scene again. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I don't know if Game of Thrones is in Malaysia, because when I was growing up in Malaysia, and I think they still do it, growing up in Malaysia, they actually they have censorship in Malaysia, all right? And I grew up like working my family's business. We had a stall in a cinema, so we used to watch all the best movies. This was back in the days of Star Wars and King Kong and all that sort of stuff. But there was censorship, so anything salacious or whatever, and also language-wise as well, they'll bleep them out, right? They'll mute out like certain words. But they'll cut out all the salacious scenes, and that's how I grew up watching shows. So when something really awkward comes on nowadays, I can't watch it. All right, so I'm very prudish like that. So when I think Game of Thrones, and from what I've heard of it, I was thinking there's no way I'm ever watching that, because it's just too much, you know, all that crap going on there. All right, so that's the CKT sauce, right? As long as everything's all nicely dissolved, that's it, you're done. You can let it cool down and then store it in jars and then use it whenever. It doesn't even really need refrigeration if you're gonna, like, you know, it's like soy sauce or something like that. Now, that's my version of my CKT sauce. Having said that, that's not the be-all and end-all as far as CKT sauces are concerned, because there's so many different variations to it. Some people use oyster sauce. When I was in Malaysia, in Penang, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about Penang CKT versus the southern CKT, which is where I come from, in a little bit. Waiting for it. Back to food stuff. Yeah, again, sorry about my nose, guys. I'm really sick. I'm thinking about tomorrow night's broadcast, how I'm going to actually do it. But I don't actually feel sick. It's just my head cold is just getting in the way. Okay, these are the noodles I use, right? If you come from the part of Malaysia I come from, like I said, which is Seremban, it's halfway between Kuala Lumpur and Malacca, down the southern part. If ever you travel to Malaysia and you ask for Char Kway Teow in those parts of Malaysia, you're going to find that they use these kinds of noodles, and they will actually mix it, right? They'll actually put a sprinkling of Hokkien noodles, which are the yellow thick wheat noodles, in them as well, okay? And also the Char Kway Teow, basically is a darker Char Kway Teow, all right? If you go up north to Penang, Penang is famous for its Char Kway Teow, all right? The Penang's Char Kway Teow looks nothing like the one that you get down south. Penang Char Kway Teow, Hakan Saloze, thanks for follow, Salozo. The Penang Char Kway Teow is very different, and unfortunately, not everyone realizes that, all right? When you go traveling to Malaysia, invariably Penang is like one of the hot spots, right? So I've had Westerners travel to Penang whose basically contact with Char Kway Teow is the Penang version, which uses a thin rice noodle, right? Okay, so it's in terms of its width, it's about probably half of these, or even a third of it. It's more like pad thai noodles, but yeah, just sorry. So Penang Char Kway Teow like uses a noodle that also rice noodle, but much thinner, all right? Like in terms of its look, it looks like pad thai noodle, but it's more delicate, all right? And also they don't put in the wheat noodles, they don't put in the Hokkien noodles with it. And I've got into like big arguments with white people who think they know better about my food than I do, right? Good. Swayze baby, thanks for following. You need to take the cold med and sleep it off. You need to rest in order to recover from cold. Hey, greetings from Germany. If he gets. And so I've got into like big arguments with white people who've been to Penang for a holiday and come back and then ordered Char Kway Teow from me and realized it looked nothing like the version they knew, and then accused me of being inauthentic, all right? And I try and explain this north-south divide, and I had one guy actually, I told him about the north and south divide, right? I said, oh, I'm from southern Malaysia, this is the version we sell. And he said, don't tell me, like, you know, don't tell me there's a north-south divide in Malaysia. There's no such thing. I know because I spent 30 years in Bangkok. which is the most stupid thing anyone can tell me because Bangkok isn't even in Malaysia, all right? So I was kind of like, so what were you doing in Bangkok? Like, how were the nightclubs over there, you know? But I hate it when people assume, because I think that people unconsciously apply their own racist filters to how an Asian cook should be and look, right? Because I was selling at markets when I started out. I guess, you know, I don't look, you know, with my blonde hair and whatever, I don't look ethnic enough, and I'm not wearing a sarong or whatever sort of thing, and I don't speak with a, you know, I don't speak halting English or whatever. Therefore, I must be so westernized that I don't know anything about my food. But in fact, I was, like I said, nearly an adult when I came to Australia, so I do know a fair bit. And my parents used to sell street food in Malaysia as well, so I get very annoyed about that. So Penang Char Kway Teow, the look is a lot lighter, all right? When I was in Penang, and that's the other point of contention as well. When I was in Penang, I tried a number of different versions of, Char Kway Teow from a number of different stalls. And then finally, I filmed it at the hotel where we were being hosted at, right? And their Char Kway Teow tasted fantastic, but it was cooked by an Indian guy, all right? And you should see the comments on my YouTube channel by other Asians, other Malaysians. Oh, it can't be authentic because Char Kway Teow is traditionally cooked by Chinese, all right? Hang on, I'm just gonna go. But yeah, you should see the outrage when they say, oh, isn't it Indian, you know? And they pointed out that he put in the egg at the wrong stage of the cooking process. And really, you know, there's no right or wrong way of how you do a lot of things, but people are so pedantic. But right away, when they see that he's got dark skin, they write him on and say he's Indian, you know? He doesn't know how to cook Char Kway Teow. Char Kway Teow should be a Chinese thing. But like I said, it was actually one of the best Char Kway Teow I ever had in Penang. I got a question, Malaysia next to Vietnam. It's close to Vietnam. Malaysia, you've got Malaysia, Thailand up north, and then Vietnam to the right. And you've got Laos and Cambodia and all that. So it's all part of the same general region. Yeah, so Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Burma, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, those are what form, and also Brunei as well. Those are what form Southeast Asia, right? Okay, so, and the other thing as well, there was one stall, my favorite stall in Penang, right? As a food producer, I get very sensitive when people, you know, write articles about food and all that. So I know I'm passing a little bit, but you will never see me when I write about food, about, you know, places I've visited. I'll never say this is the best, all right? Because it's predicated on the fact that I've tried every single, you know, outlet over in Penang. But this was my favorite, all right? I won't say this is the best in Penang or something like that, because I don't know. I haven't tried every single stall in Penang. This was my favorite that I've tried in Penang. But it's basically this couple, right? An old man and his wife, right? And their trading hours are sufficiently random that you can show up there and then realize they're not open for the day. So that's the struggle you're going to experience when you go and check out the street food scene in Malaysia. All right, you really, you know, I would strongly advise having like going with you know, one of those day tour thing, those foodie tour things, because they will know what's open and at what time, because sometimes they only open like 5 hours, you know, 4 days a week or something like that. Hang on. Okay. People are still wondering why I'm walking away is because I've got a runny nose. So right through this broadcast, my nose is going to get progressively redder as I keep blowing it. Yeah, so this couple, they do the Char Kway Teow using this Penang. Like I said, their rice noodle is so incredibly delicate, it looks almost translucent, all right? So obviously their ratio of like rice flour and tapioca flour, it will be a little bit different to what we use down south, all right? Like I said, the ones we use down south, fairly sturdy, cut wide, right? And quite white in color, quite opaque, right? The ones in Penang tend to be more translucent. In fact, this particular couple, I don't know where they get their noodles made, right? But they arrive at their store almost like all stuck together. So all the wife does all day is just stand next to the guy with the noodles, right? and just using her fingers to peel them apart. All right, that's how delicate they are, and that's kind of like one of their one of the features of their char kway teow. It's very, very soft and really silky. And then there's all these debates about what makes a good char kway teow. Invariably, these debates are stirred by people who've never had to cook a single plate of char kway teow themselves, right? You know, so some people will say, oh, you need charcoal fire to be able to generate a good char kway teow. So there's the talk about the what we call the wok hay, right? So I'm going to use my wok. Now you notice I'm only using a dinky little camping stove. It's not ideal, all right? But I want to show you guys that you can actually achieve something fairly decent with a little camping stove. But as far as the wok that you're using, you want a thin wok. This is what I've talked about as the iron wok, all right? This thin wok will have been silver in color when you buy it at the shops. So this is different to the, I'll show you. So this is a stainless steel wok. This is very, very thick, right? And it's very heavy, all right? And it's probably quite expensive as well. I didn't buy this, but I know that my stepmom is a little bit of a kitchen appliance addict, right? So she would happily pay like 3 figures for these kinds of wok. But these would be good for like frying like curry paste and that sort of stuff, or cooking rendang or something like that. This is very cheap. You can buy it for like, back in my day, you can buy it for like less than 20 bucks at your local Asian grocery store. And it's fairly light, right? And it will just get blacker progressively as you use it. I've never actually attempted to season the wok before I use. People always talk about how you have to season it, and they'll have 50 ways of how to season a wok. You can do it if you like. My brother tried to season his wok one time, and he nearly burned his kitchen down because he stepped away and it, you know, because it's oiled and all that, and it caught fire and all that. I've never made CKT. You'll probably give this a try after watching this broadcast. Cool, let me know how you go. It's one of those things when I teach this in a cooking class environment, because you cook it like very, very quickly, right? And you got to remember this. I find that people struggle to try and remember all the different elements, right? But once you get it, you know, it becomes second nature. You don't even think about it. And it's hard in some way as well for me to explain all the different steps involved, okay? It's actually very, very easy to make. But yeah, just keep in mind that it may take a few goes for you to kind of like nail it, all right? So this is the heavy, expensive, like stainless steel wok. It'll always be silver, all right? This should never turn black. If it turns black, you've burnt it. But this one should be black. This is the iron wok. And this is very common in Asian grocery stores, okay? But the reason why you need an iron wok is because it's thin, it transfers heat really well, all right? I have CKT cooking. I'll leave CKT cooking to the hubby. Yeah. Okay. So as far as what goes into a char kway teow, again, there's all this debate about like what makes it taste good, right? Again, people who see, Malaysia is a country of foodies. Everybody loves to eat, and everybody goes around checking out all their different favorite street food and where to buy their favorite street food. Okay, it's like, it's kind of like bred into them. They'll say, oh, the best char kway teow is this, the best satay is that, and all that sort of stuff. So everyone has an opinion about everything. But the general consensus is what makes a good char kway teow is that it uses pork lard in it, all right? So instead of regular oil, which I'm using, they talk about using pork fat, okay? And the way they generate pork fat is by frying like basically pork fat. And the oil, they use the oil for frying. And then they have these pork crisps from it, all right, that they mix into it. It just makes me sick because I don't actually eat pork. I'm not a Muslim or I'm a Christian. I just don't eat pork, and pork really kind of like makes me gag at the thought of it. And the other thing that's commonly used, and having talked about the pork fat with char kway teow, when I was in Penang a couple of years ago, and like I said, because it's part of my it's my job to research all this, all right? So I film these and I talk to all the chefs and all that. In reality, right, when I do it, when I show you guys how to do it, these would be, you know, armchair experts will say, oh, that's not authentic because she's not using pork fat. But the places that they grow up loving in Penang, many years ago, actually replaced pork fat with just regular vegetable oil, all right, for health reasons, ironically. But people don't know that, but they just assume that it's cooked with pork fat. So they don't distinguish the difference, all right? So it's a psychological thing. They think, oh, that's my favorite Char Kway Teow stall, it's the best ever. But Jackie, and because they don't review their recipes, you know, people don't know any better. As far as the ingredients that go into it, some guy yesterday at my food stall, same thing. He said, same, there's nothing better than Asian food, thank you. Some people would dispute that, I won't. Yesterday at my market stall, this guy said, it turns out he's from my home state as well, right? And he saw I'm cooking Char Kway Teow. He said, oh, it can't be authentic if it doesn't contain what we call si ham, right, in Cantonese. It means blood cockles, all right? And I said, well, that's true, you know. I love blood cockles in it as well. But again, people all have these ideas about what makes a good Char Kway Teow. And unfortunately, in Sydney, Australia, you can't actually get blood cockles, okay? Not fresh ones, the size that we want from Malaysia. In Malaysia, the blood cockles we get are small. In Sydney, I've seen big giant ones where the shell is so incredibly thick and the blood cockle itself is so tough and rubbery, it's just not worth bothering with. Hang on, let's go again. Okay, and then I've seen frozen small blood cockles, but again, to me, they just didn't work out, so I don't even bother with it. Having said that, I'm told there's a place in Sydney that does use blood cockles and it's really good. I don't know, I haven't tried it, so good for them if they can find it. Sorry. Ishi, hey, how you doing? So that's the blood cockles debate. That's the pork oil debate. There's the charcoal fire debate. It's never made sense to me why you need charcoal fire to produce a smoky flavored dish, all right? Because fire is fire, heat is heat, you know. And back in those days, they would use charcoal simply because they didn't have access to other forms of power, I guess. People need to stop being such. But generally, okay, to be fair, Char Kway Teow, because it's, you know, Malaysia is multicultural and so people have trouble wrapping their heads around it. Malaysia is multicultural. There's the Chinese, the Indians, and the Malays, right? The Chinese tend to specialize in a particular Chinese, in all honesty, they dominate the hawker food scene, all right? Which means there's a lot of pork used in a lot of their dishes. The Malays are more like the curries and all that, and the Indians, you know, likewise, they have their own, like, focus, right? But as far as stir fries and all that, generally it's the Chinese who dominate that scene. So there's a lot of pork in it, and I don't eat pork, so my Char Kway Teow deviates in the sense that I don't use pork lard, I don't use pork oil, I don't use what we call Chinese sausage, all right, which is lap cheong in Chinese. Chinese sausage is made from pork. It's like that waxy thing if you've ever had it. So none of that in mind. And the other thing they use is blood cockles, which I can't get. I would if I could, all right? Hang on. So, blood cockles, in the absence of blood cockles, what actually works well for me is actually fresh oysters. So I've got some here and I'm going to use that today, all right? Unfortunately, you know, these are some fresh oysters. They don't look particularly fresh now. But those are my oysters, all right? Sydney Rock oysters. But they're just too expensive to actually, you know, use in a market stall environment. Unless you want to pay 25 bucks for your serve of Char Kway Teow, I'm not going to be giving you fresh oysters. Let's use to be an ego thing to know everything. You'll be surprised. Yeah, I mean, if ever you guys decide to actually sell food, all right, don't sell to Malaysians. They're going to be your worst critics. It's quite funny. And you really appreciate it when you've actually had to deal with it. And in fact, you're going to be fighting with food bloggers who they're even worse. They're not any opinionated, they actually have a certain sense of their ego as well. This is back in the day, when I was running my restaurant. This was before the days of Instagram taking off. So it's mostly the food blogger scene, all right? It's quite funny to see how traditional media got taken over by, you know, online blogging and all that. So you see all these traditional journalists getting a little bit upset that the food bloggers have suddenly gained such dominance over the whole food scene. And then the food bloggers kind of like had their time in the sun, and then they got replaced by Instagrammers who don't even have to write anything comprehensive. They just take a nice photo of their food, write a couple of lines, and they get more attention. So the PR agencies, while they used to quote traditional journalists, traditional food critics, started quoting food bloggers. Now they quote Instagrammers and all that. So everything, you know, changes and whatever. I've never kind of like been one to follow the trend. So yeah, that's just me. I've never seen Siham here too. Found a lookalike is really just climb. Is that right? I was told by many Melbourne people that you can actually get Siham, but I think in the USA you may struggle a bit. But yeah, cookie you might actually find Siham in Melbourne, supposedly. For whatever reason, Sydney is hands down way better than Melbourne in every respect, except when it comes to Asian ingredient availability. It seems like I guess Melbourne has more of a Malaysian population there. They seem to get their hands on more of the durian, more of the yam bean, which is the sakot or jicama, and more of a few other things, and that seems to include blood cockles as well. Yes, I have seen frozen Siham in some places. I saw it once, like I said, I actually bought it, but it just didn't work out for me. Hang on. Okay, so the other deviation, like my Char Kway Teow deviates so much from Western, from what you get in Malaysia that, you know, it's no wonder I cop a lot of crap about it. But I've also actually won like a favorite Char Kway Teow among food. You know, I've got a very conflicted relationship with food bloggers. Some genius food blogger actually went around and put out a survey among other food bloggers as to what their favorite Char Kway Teow was, and my restaurant actually came first, but you know, but like I said, it's food bloggers, you know, what do they know? Okay, so this is actually chili paste, right, that I've made from basically simmering dried chilies and with some water and then blending it to a paste. So there's no flavoring, nothing in this, and I did this in one of my recent broadcasts. And it's quite an intensely red color, and you can add more chili to it if you want, like you can add more heat to it if you want, but this is fundamentally just chili paste. And in Malaysia, if you want Char Kway Teow, they cook them individually, right? And you say, oh, you want chili, you want extra hot or whatever, and however you want it, it will get fried up in there. The way I cook it, I don't put any chili in my Char Kway Teow at all. Because I cook it in bulk, right? And it's one of those situations where it's kind of like do what I say, not what I do. Because every time I teach people how to cook Char Kway Teow, I say you have to cook them individually, or at most like cook 2 serves, right? In the one lot. Don't try and cook for like, you know, 10 people in the big wok, right? Because you will never generate the heat to produce that char, the charring smoky flavor to justify it. But when I'm in a market stall environment where I literally used to have people wait 45 minutes for my food while they're waiting, you know, during lunchtime, I can't technically cook everything individually. I've got like 4 people helping me, but I have to actually, you know, cook them in large quantities. So that's another compromise I make. But because I cook everything in bulk, I can't actually put chili in them because some people might not want chili in there. So I actually serve them with some chili separately. And I thought I was the first person to do this, but but apparently somebody else does it as well, I don't know. But I actually serve my Char Kway Teow with sambal belacan, alright? Sambal belacan tumis, fried sambal belacan. It's got like shrimp paste and chili and onion and all that sort of stuff. So I serve that on the side with my CKT. And that has really taken off, the white people anyway. They love their sambal belacan with the CKT. To them, it kind of like adds that extra oomph to it. But in Malaysia, you'll never find, I say never, it's just basically, doesn't mean that nobody ever does it, but it's not the rigueur, it's not the norm for you to get Char Kway Teow served with sambal belacan, because technically sambal belacan with the preserved shrimp flavor and all that is very different to what you would expect to go with your Char Kway Teow. Okay, Char Kway Teow is very Chinese. Sambal belacan is more pungent and all that, and it only goes with certain other kinds of dishes, all right? But somehow it works and people like it, and I've stuck with it. But that's, you know, that's not traditional Malaysian Char Kway Teow. Hang on. Okay, I've tried one where they charge you extra one upgrade to duck egg. Oh yeah, that's the other thing as well. I didn't have it when I was growing up in Malaysia, but duck egg is a big thing in Penang, and also now I've seen it in Kuala Lumpur, and I don't know, in Singapore as well. But instead of using regular egg, just remind me, I gotta grab some egg from the back. Instead of using regular chicken egg, right, they use duck egg because it's richer and creamier. It's got a larger yolk. Okay, so it costs extra apparently if you want duck egg, but some places use it as a matter of course, and that's kind of like what their selling point is as well. I've never actually been able to get duck egg over here, and in Malaysia I rarely eat. Actually in Kuala Lumpur, that place I saw that used duck egg, they also use the, you know what I mentioned earlier, the pork oil and all that sort of stuff. So that's a no-go for me because I don't eat pork. But yeah, so anyway, let's get started. Am I missing anything? Okay, right, so I'm using oysters and I'm going to be using some prawns, all right? These are the prawns I bought yesterday. In all honesty, I actually kept them in the freezer, but even I think I put it on the shelf that wasn't as cold as I would have liked, so it's actually gone a little bit black. So what I'm going to do is actually, instead of pork oil, right, because I'm doing this with oysters and prawns, I'm actually going to be, after I peel them, I'm actually going to fry the prawn shells with some oil to produce like a prawn flavored oil, and then I'm going to like strain out the oil and then use it for my Char Kway Teow to give it a nice prawny flavor, right? But I'm just going to grab some eggs. Okay, so the ingredients you want, and it's fairly arbitrary. Another common ingredient that would go into it would be fish cake slices, all right? I just remembered I actually made some fish cakes in one of my broadcasts about 2 weeks ago that I've forgotten to eat. They're probably moldy by now, sitting tucked away, hidden somewhere in my fridge. But yeah, usually fish cake slices would be fairly traditional to go in there. Like I said, the Chinese sausage slices, the sea ham, right? Prawns is fairly premium, okay? So you don't actually expect to see prawns as a matter of course in your Char Kway Teow, I guess, unless you pay for an upgrade. And there's this place in Penang that actually served it with some crab meat on top, which was fairly unusual, all right? But it tasted great, but I have a feeling they actually closed not too long ago. So that's the other disappointment as far as Malaysian hawker food is concerned, because there's so much mystery and so much secrecy surrounding the recipes of all these individual hawkers. At some point when they decided, you know, made enough money, they've had enough, their recipes are not generally recorded, all right? And if they are, sometimes they do leave things out so that they always have like the that edge, you know, that secret, like the key to the secret that they never want the world to know. Okay, sorry, I won't eat this. I want to peel the prawns first. Hang on. Let me go and blow my nose one more time. Okay. Gloves on. Let's do the prawns. And because these prawns are fairly large, I'm going to actually chop them up in the wok. All right. So Malaysia, the prawns are actually really small generally. Yeah, the place that I filmed in Penang, the Char Kway Teow was cooked by an Indian guy. Their CKT sauce was a lot more basic than mine, all right? They use oyster sauce, soya sauce, and and I believe thick soy. I can't remember. I filmed it and uploaded it on YouTube, and that's where people were complaining that it wasn't authentic because the guy put the egg in at the wrong time. But I think there's an element of like the fact that he was Indian that upset some people. Okay. And the other ingredients you want would be chives, garlic chives. I'll show you what they look like because not everyone knows what garlic chives. They confuse garlic chives with green onion, all right, or spring onion, or shallots, as it sometimes is known as. Okay, and that's it. I've got the shells here. And let's heat this up, and I'm going to throw some oil in here. I'm not going to use all the oil, it's just I need to fry up the prawn shells, okay, to produce the prawn oil. I can hear Noah, I don't know what he's up to. Put my cookbook away. So everyone should know what bean sprouts are, but these are garlic chives, and we cut them into about 1 inch lengths, 1.5 inch lengths, okay? Say it does often get confused with spring onion or green onion or shallots, whatever you call it. Okay, this prawn oil thing again is completely arbitrary. It's just because I'm using prawns, I so happen to have them here with me. I thought it'd be a nice touch. All right. I'll just put this away in the meantime. Let me just check on Noah very quickly. Hang on. Alright, he's decided he wants to come out. Don't touch anything, baby, okay? Okay, now will you sit, okay? You sit, good boy. Brought his box of biscuits out. Garlic chives, really nice in omelette. Yeah, that's it. You know it. My go-to stir fry at the little stir fry noodle joints. Can't get enough of it. Oh, very cool. Whereabouts are you, Aishai? Okay, you can fry this a little bit longer, right? But we're gonna stop here because I'm keeping a close eye on Noah. He's very mischievous. You wanna eat? You want a biscuit? There you go. You want a biscuit? No, you don't want it. Why did you bring it to Mama then, eh? Silly monkey. Do you want it or not? Why did you push it away? Okay, so I'll show you what the oil looks like. I always worry about these glass bowls popping when you put something hot in them. So, even more so since Cookie mentioned about them breaking in the oven or whatever. Okay, I'm making a bit of a mess with the shells here. Okay, so these shells, if you want to continue to recycle them, you can actually simmer them in some water and garlic, alright, and they'll give you some stock. Move some of these out of the way. Okay, so this is what the prawn oil looks like. So it's got a nice orange hue to them. And Noe, what do you want? You want your biscuit? Here you go. Good boy. I think he just wants to eat. Okay, so just a little bit of residual oil in here. What I want to do now is just crisp up the noodles, okay? And like I said, at this stage, what I tell everyone to do is only cook them in very, very small amounts, all right? You just want to cook enough to serve one person, especially if you're using this dinky little camping stove here, okay? So you see how it's smoking? Now you can put the noodles in. Okay, I want to put a little bit more. Basically, a pack this size, which is 1 kilo, will serve 4 people. So you want to serve one person per each time, all right? And in all honesty, look, you can cook this like in a frying pan on an electric stove if you're really desperate as well. Okay, but you want to actually just drizzle the oil in there very, very gradually, all right? Don't like stick a whole bunch of oil in this. Just add. I get a little bit frustrated at this point using a silicone thinger because you really need the sharp edge from an iron stirrer to be able to scrape this up properly. But what you want to do essentially is you want to crisp it up and create that nice smoky flavor, okay? Now you want to eat? Where's your biscuit? Where's your biscuit? Okay, where's your biscuit? Here you go. Good boy. Okay, let's take this off. I'm gonna turn it off just to quickly explain this. You see how I fry this, right? Don't get too carried away thinking that you're gonna agitate this too much, especially when you can't generate the heat that you see in a Chinese restaurant stove, you know, cooking environment, all right? Because if you stir this too rigorously, you're going to bring the temperature down and the noodles will never cook. I've seen people do this before when I say, okay, let's start frying. They keep like stirring this like forever till nothing happens, all right? Russian burritos, thanks for following. So just kind of like be a little bit patient, pull back a little, but always keep an eye on how it's heating up. If you think it's starting to scorch too much, just drizzle a little bit of oil through it, okay? It didn't sleep, but thanks for following. Hang on, let me just go blow my nose. Hopeful 97, thanks for following. Sorry, hang on. Ballistic, thanks for following. Okay, so let's turn this back on, okay? And the other thing is, don't forget when you're cooking this on like one of these stoves, right? I was, thanks for following. There is this dial here that people tend to forget when they're doing a stir fry, all right? They either have it cranked up all the way or they have it like down here, okay? But you are allowed to actually adjust it. It sounds very obvious. Lance, thanks for following. It sounds really obvious, but turn it up, turn it down, all right? Just keep an eye on it and turn it up and down as needs be. Now you want the garlic. Throw in the garlic now. Bye, Dover. Thanks for following. Okay, in goes the garlic, and I'm very generous with the garlic. Now, in all honesty, most people would put the garlic in first, sizzle the oil with the garlic, and then throw in the noodles. First or beyond, thanks for following. Okay, I like to put the garlic in after I crunch up the noodles because you run the risk of actually like burning the garlic if you put it in first. I'm staunch, thanks for following. Now we do go. Okay. I'm talking too much. This should be very, very fast, okay? I'm talking too much to the point where the noodles are actually overcooking to some extent, but you get the idea. So let's put in the prawns, okay? I'm only going to use 3 prawns here, and I'm going to try and cut them up. Everybody, thanks for following. I'm struggling to keep up while I'm cooking this, okay? This should not take more than 2 minutes to cook, really, okay? From start to finish. Kid up. Okay. I should probably have chopped up the prawn meat before I threw it in. Okay. More oil. Okay, if it sticks a little bit, put more oil in. And we're going to throw in the oysters. Nava, thanks for following. Okay, I'm gonna use all the oysters because they're on their last legs. I know it sounds gross. Okay, so again, let it sizzle. Don't cook it so long that the noodles start to break up, alright? Because you want the noodles nice. Okay. Okay, now you put in the CKT sauce, okay? Again, drizzle it in, alright? You're going to ultimately use about a tablespoon of sauce in this. But you don't want to put the sauce in all at once because you'll end up stewing the noodles, okay? And you'll also run into the problem of having the sauce get burnt. Okay, because there's a little bit of sugar in the sauce as you saw me put it in. This is great, as long as these are not box. You guys, thanks for following. Okay, now if you want the chili, you can put that in as well, right? Okay, so I'm putting the chili in. And it's fairly arbitrary when you put it in, alright? As long as everything gets cooked up properly, it's all good. And like I said, I'm struggling a little bit with this ladle. And you see, like I said, that's the other thing that a lot of people make a mistake of doing. They put in the sauce all at once, okay? You don't want to do that. And I can hear the temperature. If you cook this long enough, you start to gauge like when it gets too hot or when it doesn't get hot enough, okay? I can feel the temperature going down, so I'm just cranking it back up a little bit. And I want a little bit more oil in here. Drizzle this in. Okay. Bao Yun, thanks for following. Okay. In goes the egg. Okay. If you really like egg or you're trying to replicate that duck egg thing, you know, you can put 2 eggs in here, alright? When I eat it for myself, I do usually put 2 eggs, but for my customers, just 1 egg. They want the extra egg, it's an extra $1. Okay, so you toss it in. Again, when the egg goes in, don't get too excited about stirring this up, alright? You want the egg, you want to be able to see the egg through the noodles. You don't want to scramble it so that it becomes a big like scrambled egg mess. Okay, and you want the egg like just, I like the egg like just like fairly like runny still. So I've actually turned off the heat now. Erica, thanks for following. Okay, I turn off the heat, then I put in the bean sprouts and the garlic chives, all right? And that, in all honesty, is a little bit of a, you know, Jackie M / Australian thing / Vietnamese influence thing, because the Vietnamese generally like their bean sprouts a little bit al dente, all right? In Malaysia, you watch people cook char kway teow, sometimes they put the bean sprouts at the start, all right? And the Indian guy who did his char kway teow, he put the egg in at the start. That drove the Asians nuts, okay? But like I said, there's no hard and fast rule as to what order these things go in. Like I said again, I like my bean sprouts and the egg, my bean sprouts and the egg and the chives to go in at the end. And in fact, the bean sprouts and the chives after I turn off the heat. That's just how I do it. And in all honesty, apart from the influence from other parts of Southeast Asia, it's also because aesthetically, I think the egg, when I take photos of my char kway teow, it looks nicer if the bean sprouts still look white and still look crunchy, as opposed to like kind of like all soft, if you know what I mean. Here, baby. Okay, let me run away again. Okay, so that's my char kway teow. If you can barely see it, let me just push this up. By the way, in Malaysia, when you order char kway teow, everything is smaller in portion size in Malaysia. People always complain how the char kway teow is now $5, 5 ringgit, which technically is only like $1.50 or so. But you know, in Malaysia they still complain. They say, oh, for $5 you get a tiny serve, and the serving sizes tend to get smaller and smaller. In Australia you get like a big plate, all right? Especially there are certain places that make the char kway teow really, really large, and it's like 99% noodle. I tend to kind of like try and split the difference. I like to give people a generous serve, but also like to give them a fair bit of what we call the liu. Liu means like, you know, basically all the nice stuff that go into it, the, you know, the prawns and all the other stuff, all right? So like I said, even within the Malaysian context, there are a lot of variations to char kway teow. Like I said, the place in Penang that actually had, you know, crab meat with their char kway teow was a little bit unusual. You know, the couple who was doing it, like I said, they actually use fresh prawns like I do as well. Nice big fresh prawns. And also I was a bit paranoid about them using pork lard, and they say no, they don't use pork lard at all. Okay, so there are lots of different ways of doing it. No one hard and fast way of doing it. There you go. You can see it. I know it doesn't look particularly exciting here. It's not easy to make Malaysian food look good sometimes, you know. This is def a bot, okay, because there's more followers than viewers. That's how to pay, so a lot of people have had it done to them. Can do it. That knows how, or pays for it, huh? As long as they don't then start unfollowing me, I'm fine with it, you know. Don't get too excited. Watching your broadcast is hard. I'll just make myself lunch bowl of tom yum noodles, a large plate of CKT instead. So there you go, that's the char kway teow. I'm going to take a photo of it so you guys can see it. Let me just taste test this quickly. Okay. Yeah, you can taste the oysters in it. Like I say, if you're feeling extravagant, you know, and you can't find sea ham, I think from a flavor profile, oysters seem to work quite well. Yeah, so have a go at getting fresh oysters for your char kway teow. I put it in a little bit early because, like I said, the oysters were on their last legs, right? But generally in Malaysia, the sea ham is left very rare, all right? And likewise, you can do the same with the oysters as well. They're still fairly rare here, despite the fact that I put it in quite early. But Yeah, it's just I didn't want to get food poisoning on top of my runny nose and whatever. But yeah, generally you want to toss it in like fairly lightly. If you've seen photos of my char kway teow that I cook for myself on Thursdays when I run my market store business, but usually I cook myself a serve of this, which is why I've got no inclination to do this, you know, live on air, because I'm already so sick of eating it and cooking it every week. Look. With my char kway teow, I do a chicken char kway teow, which of course is if you're from Malaysia, you know you don't just order a chicken char kway teow in Malaysia, right? But again, that's one of those things within the context of serving Malaysian food for an Australian audience. You know, I mentioned how in Malaysia you'll get the blood cockles, you get the fish cakes, you get the pork lard, you get the chicken sausage and all that. The way we Malaysians tackle street food is that we're very, you know, for want of a better expression, we're very rojak, right? We have no problems with mixing and matching all these different things and throwing them in together. Within a Western context, people are more, I guess, they like to kind of compartmentalize what they eat, all right? So you will find, if ever you decide to run a Malaysian food business, that it may confuse an Australian audience if they find you've got like all these like seafoody, non-seafoody, porky stuff all thrown into the one dish. They generally like to compartmentalize it so that they want chicken, or they want beef, or they want whatever. They don't want chicken and seafood and beef and everything all thrown in together. And that's part of how I guess my char kway teow has evolved as well. So I do a chicken char kway teow, and you know, I do a plain char kway teow as well. And I remember there was one time that dried oysters, oh no, dried oysters is very different. Dried oysters, like those Chinese dried oysters, I have never tried it. That does sound weird. Fresh oysters, like they're still in their shell, you know, so yeah, so can you send me the plate when you're done taking photos? Yeah, I know. Someone should invent teleportation, you know, that way, look, once this is done, it's like, highest bidder, off you go. Now I have to eat this. I'm like, oh, I just ate this all day yesterday. I'm sick of it. Throw everything in a wok and call it stir fry. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so, yeah, that's how my dishes have evolved. Just hang on, let me fix up Noah. Here, baby. Yeah, and I do a plain char kway teow that doesn't have any of the meat in it as well, right? Don't think you can use dried oysters, stir fry. That takes a long time to cook soft, and yeah, you know, what's the matter, baby? You don't like it? Hey, you want it? You don't want it? Okay. But yeah, so I do a plain char kway teow. So, you know, if you're Malaysian and you're open-minded, you would eat and most likely enjoy my char kway teow. If you're one of those purists, you'll complain there's no such thing as a plain char kway teow. I had that happen one time, you know, because I basically have different price brackets for different types of char kway teow. So a plain char kway teow would be everything without the prawn, without the oysters, right? So you'll have the egg, you'll have the veggies and the noodles and the sauce. I had this guy at my restaurant one time. He wanted the chicken char kway teow, but he wanted, you know, after he, but he ordered the plain. All right. When we gave him the plain, he complained that there was no chicken in it. And this was a Malaysian guy, Malaysian Indian, and we told him, well, you know, you ordered the plain, you wanted to pay like, you know, Indians have a reputation in Malaysia of being like the cheap. They're like the Scotsmen of Malaysia. They're known for being cheap. So we told him, look, you wanted a plane, you know, and then he came back and said, well, there's no such thing as a plain char kway teow in Malaysia. You're supposed to get everything with it. And then in response, we told him, well, there's no such thing as a chicken char kway teow in Malaysia either, if you want to use that argument, you know, because he wanted to know where his chicken was. But yeah, hang on, just let me blow my nose some more. Okay, so giveaway. We've decided we're going to do the giveaways tomorrow night, right, during the campfire, because that's when I have time to actually do a big thing about it and actually do a draw properly. But this is what I got from Lenovo. I mentioned on my last broadcast that after this, actually, they've already sent it and it's at the post office waiting for me to pick it up. But Rode Microphones, one of my sponsors, have very generously sent me a bunch of microphones. They're going to be giveaways, all right? But Lenovo have this swag, and this is what I've got from Lenovo. Okay, these are mini speakers, all right? Lenovo branded mini speakers, and these can plug into your laptop. They can plug into your phones, okay? So I'll just show you how it works. This has been charged up. So each of these will come with a mini USB, right? So let me just play.
If you know the answer to this question,
okay.
I'd love to hear it. But I've only ever found reference to maybe 3 or 4 church fathers who could work in Hebrew.
You hear the difference in volume?
That, you know, contributed to how he argued certain things that he.
Okay, so that's the mini speaker. Beautiful, cute, dinky little. Some are black, some are blue. All right, I'm not gonna. Don't tell me which one you prefer, but yeah. So I've got 10 of them to give away, right? So starting on tomorrow night's campfire, we'll start drawing them. And also I've got 10 Lenovo speakers and I've got 10 Rode microphones. Isn't that fantastic, guys, right? I'm still working on the knives. Someone asked for knives. I haven't talked to any, you know, in all honesty. Yeah, in all honesty, like as far as kitchen appliances are concerned, I can talk to these people and they'll probably offer something, but I'm just going to figure out best way to approach it, because you know, obviously kitchen appliances are a little bit bulky, so yeah, we'll work something out. But okay, just hang on a sec. So don't forget to follow me tomorrow night, right? Tune into our Campfire Stories. That's 10 p.m. Sydney time. We're going to make a draw. Basically, I was aiming to give out a new prize every 100 follows from 1,000. So we've hit 1,200 now by the looks of it, thanks to the bots. So we're gonna have at least 2 to give away tomorrow night, all right? So tune in, and to your sponsors, they are great. I know, they're fantastic, aren't they? Is that on Discord a live? Is that on Discord a live video on this? How do you mean? Sorry. Okay, here you go, baby. Hang on. Okay, if that's what you mean, Campfire Stories is actually... Okay, let me check. He doesn't like this water, because this was soaking in soap suds and I rinsed it out for him. I don't know whether it still tastes sudsy. Hang on. Oh my god, my nose is just killing me. Last questions, let's have a look before I die from my running nose. Yeah, Campfire is actually on Twitch. So it's Twitch also, like, you know, except that every Saturday broadcast I don't actually cook. I just kind of like read out like campfire stories. So you guys, if you got any good campfire stories you want me to read out, right? You're reading all these, like Remy, one of my mods, actually renamed one of my broadcast to Are You Afraid of Ghosts? Because we were telling so many ghost stories. That's got some people excited. But yeah, so tomorrow night, every Saturday night, we'll be doing the draw depending on how many new followers we got. And Kay, what are you talking about? Kay, you missed out on this. So I've got 10 Lenovo speakers, right? Really, really cute, funky speakers to give away on top of the 10 Rode microphones. And I'm still talking to other sponsors, so hopefully we'll get more people come on board so that we've got more swag to give away to our followers. Anyway, thank you guys. My nose is just about killing me, so I'm gonna wrap this up here. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm gonna be here for tomorrow's stream. I'll be sleeping. Oh, come on, Sammy. Well, we might have to do an earlier stream for you. We might have to do a special draw during the week. We'll see how we go. Anyway, yeah. Feel better. Yeah, thanks. There's gonna be a really awkward broadcast for me to actually run as a replay because of my nose. It'll be 7 a.m. where I am. That's fine. That's all right, right? 7 a.m. That sort of stream. Hang on. Okay, cool. Right here. I hope to see most of you during campfire tomorrow night. Otherwise, like I said, we'll try and accommodate those who can't catch it one way or another. What did you do to yourself? I'm dying, that's what. Anyway, thank you guys. I'll see you tomorrow night. Hopefully my voice will be better and hopefully my nose won't be killing me the way it is now. Ciao.